Hello, welcome back to Adjoa in Ghana. I'm Adjoa and I create content here on YouTube about public speaking, documenting my Tree language learning experience, and soon to be documenting, as this video is the first in the series, my policy fellowship. So excited to receive and be participating in, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. You may not have seen all of these areas documented on the channel just yet, but where I am quite active are Instagram and TikTok, so you can follow me on there for all the in-between updates. We are here to talk about why you need to apply for that opportunity that you've been thinking about doing. You would really love it if it could be made possible. Now, I watched this video on Instagram by Dr. Joyce, and she is an incredible woman. Now, you know how much I'm passionate about the African continent, and I love seeing young professionals, young leaders, young creatives, young voices from the continent making a difference in all corners of the world, as well as in Africa itself. And Dr. Joyce is a doctor. She's very passionate about women's health, and she organizes these incredible events through Aranini, I believe the name is, of her brand that brings African women together to really understand how health will impact their life and how they can create well-being in their life. So she's incredible. Anyway, she had this video.
Needs to hear this, but you need to nominate yourself. You need to nominate yourself. You need to put your name forward for those opportunities.
She had won awards. She had received incredible opportunities just from applying, just by putting her name in the running for something. Now, that is the same mindset I want us to have going into 2025. If there is this opportunity that you would love to have, if you do not apply for it, there is zero chance. But if you do apply for it, that is more than a 0% chance. So which one is better? We know, apply. So that's exactly what I did when it came to this fellowship called the Global Voices Policy Fellowship. This is where I would say your networks do really matter. If there are certain opportunities that you were interested in, if there are certain topics that you were really passionate about, and you would love opportunities to work in those spaces, then I would really suggest speaking to those who are in positions of somewhat influence, and really just anyone in your circle, because if they're aware of these things that you're interested in, these organizations you'd love to work at or get opportunities with, then they can recommend these to you, because that's exactly what happened to me. A person within my network saw this fellowship advertised and sent it my way. If they had not sent it to me, I would never have known about this fellowship. So this is the only organization in Australia to offer a policy fellowship program that provides in-person and practical experience in policy making and international relations. If you aren't aware, I studied 3 degrees at university. I studied international studies and received a distinction. I received law and graduated with first class honors and received the university medal. And I graduated with a bachelor in applied leadership and critical thinking. And through that program, I was able to travel to South Africa and study democracy and citizenship in Cape Town at Stellenbosch University. So I've had an incredible and rich academic background, and I studied international studies, as you heard. And so this kind of program was perfect for me because it covers policy making, it covers international relations. And for those who aren't aware by now, African studies is something that's really important to me. But because of the program that I did, there was no African studies program. And actually, there is currently no African studies program at the university level throughout the entire Australia. So I had to be very creative in creating my own African society at university, in connecting with African professors and postgraduate students who were researching in Africa or who had lived in Africa and could connect me with those kinds of academic research spaces. And I also, just where I could, write about Africa and really focus on that subject matter. So when I applied for this opportunity, part of the application process is proposing a policy solution or proposing a policy that would address a global issue. If you'd like more information on this process, I am going to leave the links to Global Voices below. By the way, everything that I speak about on my channel related to Global Voices and anything else is completely my own opinions, my own views, and the information. Do your own research. Don't rely on just what I say. The information may change over time, and nothing that I'm saying is professional advice. Okay, now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, yes. So the mentor in my network knew that I was passionate about Africa, passionate about international relations, passionate about policy making and making a positive impact in communities. So it was sent right my way and I applied. And I applied on the basis of something I was truly passionate about. So my policy proposal was about Australia implementing an African studies program at the university level. And there is a university in Australia that is currently very engaged with the African continent, Curtin University, which I was to find out is also part of this Global Voices fellowship. If you're not aware of Global Voices, which I wasn't, and like I said, I'll leave their links in the description so you can read more about the criteria for applying for one of their fellowships. The particular fellowship I received is just one of many. Actually, they run opportunities that include they send young people to attend summits, international summits, including at the United Nations, the OECD, the World Bank, the IMF, and the Y20. How incredible. So my fellowship relates to the Y20, which is just so incredible because guess what? When I was looking at opportunities to apply for, my mentor had recommended a fellowship, a policy fellowship related to women, and that one was being held in New York. But when I looked at the other ones that they had available, I saw that they had this Y20 delegation. And this delegation was to be attending the first G20 summit, but the youth arm of the G20 summit, the Y20, that is being held on the African continent and is being hosted by an African country. So South Africa is the president of the G20 for this year. And so the summit is being held in South Africa, and the Y20 is the youth arm of the G20. Can you imagine? Like, this is one of the major platforms for the world's major economies to come together and address global issues. So, anyway, those attributes about this particular summit really interested me because I'm passionate about Africa, I'm passionate about addressing global issues, and I'm passionate about young people. And so this hits all those areas. And my proposal was directly linked to, like I said, something I was passionate about, which is including an African studies program at the university level. Now, I can talk more about why that is, and I'll be documenting more about my journey because as part of this opportunity, we write a policy paper that's published in the Global Voices journal. So you'll actually hopefully be able to read it once it's complete. But yes, the whole idea of this video is about, okay, let's identify the opportunity that you are really interested in, that you would really love to get, and then let's make that application. So for Global Voices, there was a written application and then an interview process. So likely your process will involve one or both of these elements and even maybe additional elements. So the important thing is to be aware of what the process is and then what the deadlines are so that you don't miss them. So these are just some things to think about. And this is your sign to apply for that opportunity that you are passionate about. This opportunity was open across Australia, and I was one of 5 young people to be selected for this particular fellowship. So when you think about that, the chances are quite slim, and these opportunities we know are competitive, but I am a believer that if something is meant for you, it will happen for you. So it's not about the competition, it's about how much you want it and about how much you're actually invested and interested in an opportunity, because that will come across in your application, it will come across in your interview, and that is what happened for me. Now, I experienced a lot of rejection in 2024, so if that's also any encouragement for you, don't stop applying. Even if you get a rejection from one opportunity, there will be another. I would like to say a big thank you to Global Voices, and it's a completely funded opportunity, and this is really incredible. I am really passionate about opportunities like this because even throughout my university experience, I received scholarships, I received funded travel experiences, and it wouldn't have been possible for me to perhaps participate in these forums if I didn't have that financial support. I'm really passionate about young people from those backgrounds getting access to these incredible opportunities because I know that we have the creativity, we have the drive, we have the ideas, we have the excellence within us to really contribute a unique perspective. So I just want to encourage anyone out there who may feel like these opportunities are out of your reach or that you don't necessarily have the resources or the connections to get these opportunities, to believe in yourself and to believe that where there is a will, there is a way. There are a lot of funded opportunities out there, but it's just about knowing about them because a lot of the time we don't know about them. Like I didn't even know about this, but then somebody told me about it and that's how I was able to get myself in the running. So that's what I would really encourage you to do, is to sign up for email newsletters for those organizations that you'd love to work with, whether it be an internship, a job position, whether it be something else. Sign up for the email newsletters on social media because social media is being used to advertise opportunities like this. Follow organizations that you would love to intern at, that you'd love to work for, that you'd love to do a fellowship with. Even reach out to people who are working in these places and see if you can speak with them further. But make sure that the basis of all of this is your passion and your interest, because if you are doing things that are aligned with that, like I said, it's going to come through. Now, if you missed it, Africa is a big passion of mine. And this is an area I have been advocating for and involving myself in for many years. And even when the structures weren't there for me to study African studies at the university level within my home country, I was able to create the opportunities. And so this is also an encouragement to you that if you are waiting for a yes to that opportunity, don't wait for that. Also do your own work, whether it be starting a podcast that where you discuss these issues you're passionate about. If it's establishing a student society at your university, if it's about writing to a newsletter or writing in a magazine or creating your own newsletter, these are all things that you can do. Even having a social media page where you're sharing about it, attending events where they're discussing these issues. There's a lot that you can do without having finances, without having the connections. It's about how much you want it and how much you're willing to invest of your time, of your energy, and of your ideas. So this is an encouragement for you to be in the running, and as well as being in the running, take action alongside that so that you're not just waiting around, because a lot of opportunities for myself have come, I'm really passionate about this, have come through me taking the action. Okay, making my own table, making my own opportunities happen. And that's what a lot of us need to do, especially if you're coming from a low SES background or you have faced some barriers or challenges. Now, we're all going to have different challenges, but it's about identifying for us what are the solutions, okay? And we need to get creative and innovative and resourceful, because we can't just expect to have everything, unfortunately, served to us on a silver platter. A lot of us are going to have to work. A lot of us are going to have to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. A lot of us are going to have to go the extra mile. Mediocrity is not going to be enough to get us to where we want to be in 2025 and beyond. So I hope that this video has inspired you, has given you some encouragement. I will share more about the fellowship now if you are specifically interested. So there is some criteria. So when my mentor sent me this opportunity, I went on, I looked for the deadline, because remember that's very important, and then I looked at the eligibility requirements. Some of those were you had to be a young person and their definition was between 18 and 30, and also you needed to be available to travel. Now the dates for the Y20 summit have not been announced yet, but as part of the criteria, we would need to be available to travel whenever that is. We need to commit 5 hours per week to the program because, like I mentioned, we will be writing a policy paper and we're also going to be participating in skill building opportunities. And what else? Yes, you need to be an Australian citizen or permanent resident. Now, that is limiting in some respects because we know that's not everyone's situation, but remember there are other opportunities out there. Like I was looking into the Global Shapers program, I believe that's run through the World Economic Forum, and I would really encourage you to check that out because that one looks like it's open across the world and in different places, so that wherever you are, you might be able to have access to that. And there are other opportunities that if you know about them, then make sure that you're looking into those. So yeah, that's a bit more about the program, but specifically, okay, we're going into the Y20. Let me just bring that up. So, like I mentioned, it's happening in South Africa, and it's the official youth engagement group of the G20, an international forum for young leaders from G20 countries. Now, the African Union is part of the G20, so I'm very excited about that because that means that I'll be meeting young African leaders, and I'm going to seek out my Ghana people as well at this summit. So this is incredible. And it serves as a platform for youth to express their perspectives, propose solutions, and engage in dialogue on global issues such as climate change, education, employment, and social inclusion. So we are going to be collaborating to develop policy recommendations that are going to be presented to the G20 leaders. So, this is an incredible opportunity because I love meeting other young people, and I love that we will all be different, but we all share this desire to be part of positive change. So I feel that this is going to be a very inspirational, world opening, perspective shifting experience for me. It's really a once in a lifetime opportunity. And that's why I'm emphasizing to you, you need to put yourself in the running for these kinds of opportunities that you're passionate about. And here's some of the criteria I mentioned before, but what they're looking for is personal and or professional interest in the delegation's purpose and issues, unique and relevant experience, showing a commitment to the fellowship requirements. So this is where I said, don't just wait until you get these opportunities because you will need to create your own opportunities that then you can use to apply for things like this. Also, potential to gain professionally and personally from the experience, intention to contribute meaningfully to the fellowship and their communities following the fellowship, and a relevant, considered, and quality policy proposal. Now, I want to say that part about contributing to communities following the fellowship, that's part of why I'm creating this series on YouTube, is because I believe that it's not just me, it's so many of us who would love access to opportunities like this, or even we want to create opportunities ourselves, but maybe we have some limitations because we think, well, we have limiting mindsets or attitudes that are stopping us from going after our dreams. And so I really want to be able to be part of encouraging others to do what it is that they're passionate about and make it happen regardless of your background. And yeah, the exciting thing about this opportunity was that you did not have to have prior experience in the theme of the delegation you are applying for, although that was not my case because I definitely did have a strong interest in forums like the G20 and international relations, and particularly though I was able to base my application on the fact that this is the first time an African country is hosting the G20, and as an African Australian, I believe that I have a unique perspective and a voice that would be a positive contribution to the delegation that they are sending, because it's actually there is the, what is it called, Africa 2063. Bless me, but there is actually a agenda that is happening for Africa over the next 50 years, and I believe that as Africa has the youngest, fastest growing population, it is going to be necessary for Australia to understand the African continent better. And what is one way that Australia can do that? It's through having a robust, strengths based African studies program available for Australians to study at the university level so that they can understand the African continent on its own terms and be able to be in a position to engage with the African continent in a way that is going to be mutually beneficial, because Africa is the future in my view. And also, as the evidence suggests, like I said, in this New York Times article I read, research shows that by 2050, 1 in 4 people are going to be African. Africa has the youngest, fastest growing population, like I mentioned. And so it is beyond the point where Australia can continue to ignore the second largest continent at this crucial level, which is having an African studies program. That needs to change. And so that was my policy proposal. And this is me having a genuine interest in this topic that I ended up using to apply for. So just think about it. What is that issue that you're passionate about? What is that theme that you're really passionate about? And find opportunities aligned with that, because that's going to also increase your chances as well. Because then your application is not just one that's in there for the sake of it. You have a very persuasive tone. You know the subject matter well, because I was able to I found out a lot more about Africa through this process, because I did a lot of research up into my application and my interview, but I already had a great foundation because I had been engaging in events and spaces and creating networks and connections. So I was able to include all of that research and knowledge in my application. Also, the UN sent a delegation recently to Australia to assess the human rights of Africans within Australia. And so, again, I was able to use that example as a reason for why Africa needs to be at the top of Australia's agenda, and why we can see evidence of it being on Australia's agenda. And so I have this understanding. Please send me on to South Africa to participate in this. So I'm excited to bring you along on this journey, to be documenting my experience so that you can get this insight into what it's like, but also encouragement for you to do the very same. So if you enjoyed this video, comment down below. Let me know if you have any questions. I would be happy to answer them. Remember to check the description box where I will leave the more links for you. And remember, it is your time to shine. Don't be afraid. Don't feel limited by your circumstances. We all go through feelings of doubt, imposter syndrome, and fear. But guess what? We can overcome that together with the right people in your corner. So make sure you're very intentional about who you're friends with this year, about what spaces that you attend. Make sure that you are thinking about how you can create opportunities for yourself and not just wait for someone to give it to you, because guess what? That is how we are going to move forward. And don't be discouraged. Don't be disheartened. This is a journey. An opportunity like this didn't come for me right away. Like I said, I experienced a lot of rejection up until receiving this yes. So just be encouraged that even if you're receiving a lot of rejection at the moment, that you will eventually receive a yes. Just like it's probability. You keep trying. The more you keep trying, the more chances that you're going to be getting closer to that yes. So don't give up. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'm sending you all the very best for your applications for those opportunities. All right, I will see you in the next video. Medasipa, Yabeshia, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video.